I hadn't even finished brewing my coffee when my front door exploded. 1 minute, I was humming to a bird outside my cabin, mentally debating whether to reheat some leftover chili, and the next BOM'd front door flew across the living room like it owed someone money. In stormed a woman who looked like a cross between a mall cop and a survivalist YouTuber. She was flanked by a skittish teenager in tactical gear 4 sizes too big and a small, wheezing dog in a K9 vest that barked like a squeaky toy losing air. She raised a plastic-looking pistol in my direction and shouted the words no one ever expects to hear while sipping hazelnut roast in a bathrobe. "We've got you surrounded, deep state scum." Let me explain. I didn't move to this remote cabin for excitement. After years in Texas of it on the legal edge of government freelancing, I'd cashed out, unplugged, and vanished into the mountains. I wanted nothing more than peace, trees, and to never hear the word firewall again. Apparently, my GPS coordinates had found their way into the hands of the most dangerously deluded woman in the Western Hemisphere, Bonnie Fletcher. Bonnie looked like she had binge-watched every crime show ever made and decided she could do it better. At 7 a.m., she was already sporting aviator sunglasses, a clipboard holster strapped to her thigh, and a walkie-talkie duct taped to her shoulder. Her hair was pulled back so tight it might have been squeezing the rationality out of her skull. She barked orders at the teenage boy beside her, who I later found out was her son, Kai, founder and sole member of a one-man drone club called Sky Patrol. "Secure the perimeter," Bonnie yelled. Kyle tripped over my welcome mat and face-planted directly into a cactus. Still holding my coffee, I stared at her. "What is happening?" I asked, mostly to myself. Bonnie spun toward me like a hawk spotting prey. "You know damn well what's happening," she screeched. "This is a citizen's intervention. You've been flagged as a hostile digital infiltrator. Your cabin is a signal node for shadow operations. I saw the lights flicker last night, and it smells like conspiracy in here." I microwaved salmon, I offered helpfully. Bonnie didn't care. She kicked over an ottoman with the kind of fury only found in people who'd once been banned from an HOA meeting for trying to arrest the treasurer. Kyle peeled himself off the cactus, limped toward me, and waved a laminated badge that read Field Marshal. "This is private property," I said calmly. "And you just..." "Rights are suspended during wartime," Bonnie barked. "What war?" "The quiet one." I was still trying to figure out if this was a prank, a cult, or the beginning of a hostage situation when the wall behind my bookshelf hissed and shifted open. A secret panel. From it emerged 5 heavily armed individuals in full tactical gear like something out of a Tom Clancy fever dream. For a brief moment, I thought Bonnie had conjured actual ghosts from her paranoia, but no, these people were very real, very serious, and very well trained. "FBI. Drop your weapons," one of them boomed. Everything froze. Kyle fainted on the spot, which, honestly, I respected. Bonnie stood frozen in place, torn between her fantasy and the reality she never saw coming. Still in my bathrobe, I raised one hand, the international sign for, "I'm way too sober for this." The squad leader stepped forward. A tall woman with a scar above one eyebrow and eyes that screamed, "I haven't slept since the Obama administration." She looked at Bonnie, then at me. "What the hell is this?" "I was hoping you'd tell me," I replied. She introduced herself as Agent Ramirez, head of a covert FBI unit using my cabin unbeknownst to me as a training site for deep cover exercises. Turns out the place had been retrofitted with hidden compartments, surveillance blind spots, and panic buttons I'd thought were broken light switches. Bonnie, armed with her Facebook militia, had just kicked in the door of an active federal operation. While Kyle snored on the floor, the agents surrounded Bonnie and her absurd posse. Ramirez had to spend 5 whole minutes coaxing Bonnie to drop her Nerf-colored weapon, finally promising to hear her concerns later. Bonnie reluctantly handed it over, yelling something about chemtrails and gluten conspiracies. Naturally, I was pulled aside for questioning. Ramirez was skeptical when she saw one of my old aliases, Cypher Prophet, pop up in their database. Years ago, I'd stirred up some noise during a whistleblower fiasco in Iceland. She looked at me like I was a raccoon that had chewed into her encrypted files. But I talked fast. Dropped a reference to a backdoor I left in a DOJ mainframe years ago. That, combined with the fact my file was marked Level 2 Black Flag Observational Immunity, was enough to buy me leniency. It meant someone high up had tagged me. "Do not engage unless absolutely necessary." Ramirez didn't like it, but she understood it. Guess you've got friends in low places, she muttered. I've got enemies who owe me favors, I corrected. Then she showed me something that made the situation even weirder. On her tablet was a video Bonnie had uploaded to a conspiracy site 24 hours earlier. In it, she pointed at my cabin across a ravine. Inside that building, she declared, is the key to unraveling the global lie. Hilarious until I saw what was behind her in the video. A frequency spike. A signal only bureau tech could produce. Meaning someone inside the FBI had been transmitting data. And Bonnie's ridiculous live stream had caught it. She's wrong, Ramirez said. But she's not completely wrong. We had a mole. And Bonnie's stunt may have flushed them out. You help us trace the leak, Ramirez told me, and we'll clean your name, get you a new door, and all the chili you can eat. I sipped my coffee and glanced around at the chaos. Kyle was now trying to pet a bomb-sniffing dog. Bonnie was yelling about the Geneva Convention and the moon. I'm in, I said. But first, I really need pants. 3 weeks earlier, Bonnie had been in a shouting match with a librarian over the Dewey Decimal System, which she claimed was a globalist plot. The librarian, a woman named Sheila, just trying to make it to lunch without being accused of espionage, finally pretended the library didn't own any of the books Bonnie requested. That night, over boxed wine and expired string cheese, Bonnie wrote a manifesto and declared herself field captain of the Liberty Guard Peace Force. Its only member, her son Kyle, who once built a potato cannon and called it tactical artillery. She held the first Liberty Guard meeting in her garage, complete with a looped national anthem and an oath she wrote herself that included phrases like thought-proofing and Operation Snack Shield. Kyle wore camo pants and printed an ID badge that read Deputy Recon Chief. He still lived in the basement. A week later, the team had grown by 2. Bonnie's friend Sharon, who claimed to have seen an alien at a Rite Aid, and Tank Mitch, a former fitness coach who joined mostly for snacks. They launched Phase 1, observation and interception, which meant slowly driving through the neighborhood, staring at people. Bonnie made hundreds of flyers with slogans like, "Is your neighbor a clone?" and "They took our light bulbs, a guide to microwave surveillance." The mayor's office responded with a restraining order and a free yoga pass. Bonnie burned both behind her garage while wearing night vision goggles. Then came her YouTube obsessionaire, live streaming hobby. Her channel, The Bonnie Signal, featured her ranting in front of evidence boards with red yarn, her dog Pepper barking the entire time. The viral moment came during a lasagna-themed strategic dinner. Kyle accidentally live-streamed the whole event. Bonnie screamed about bread codes while Tank Mitch asked if Snickers were a mood suppressant. It went viral. She became a star in conspiracy circles. T-shirts were sent to her. Liberty Now dishes later. She wore it every Thursday. Eventually, her team intercepted something real. A scrambled signal meant for bureau agents caught by accident via a radio tower Kyle built out of a treadmill and coat hangers. Enter Ramirez again. She pulled me aside days later and said Bonnie had stumbled into something dangerous. A real leak. A mole. And Ramirez needed someone crazy enough to join Bonnie's cult of confusion and report from the inside. Blend in, she said. We need her chaos. I joined. Bonnie welcomed me like a lost brother. The second I mentioned encryption, she made me deputy digital guardian and asked if I could install a firewall on her toaster. Kyle eventually warmed up to me. He even showed me his homemade server stored in an old fridge, powered by a car battery. That weird rig had intercepted real signals. We started finding patterns. Signals. A man bald, sunglasses always near the antenna range. Kyle called him Steve. He wasn't Steve. He was an inactive FBI handler marked as deceased. I sent the data to Ramirez. Her response, go dark. Bonnie then held a summit of truth. There were tiki torches, aluminum ponchos, and a goat wearing a cape. Steve showed up. Bonnie screamed, You smell like secrets. Chaos. Goat on a table. Kyle dropped the drone controller in the punch. Ramirez's team stormed in and took Steve. And just like that, Bonnie, in her madness, had flushed out a mole. But it wasn't over. Ramirez briefed me there was one more handler out there. A final operation. A bait mission. We called it Operation False Fork. Bonnie printed a 48-page manual, wrote new loyalty oaths, and designed a logo with an eagle holding a spatula. The night of the final sting, everything went haywire again. The mole showed up. Bonnie screamed something about grocery receipts. The mole activated a signal jammer. Cal launched his drone. Pepper, the dog, latched onto the mole's leg. Ramirez's team tranquilized him. He went down. 2 more sleeper agents confirmed. Bonnie? She declared victory and claimed the goat had psychic visions. Ramirez told me I'd done good. Real good. They patched the leak, pulled out, and left me a black card with 1 number. 3 weeks later, I found a flyer in my mailbox. Is your firewit spying on you? It asked. Bonnie was smiling in the photo. And I couldn't help but smile back.